Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Julie and I am the author of the blog CapturingWonderland.com. I got my root beer and I am ready to talk to you about one of my very favorite subjects, and that is functional decor. I've got a list of 15 functional decor ideas for your home that will add that charm without sacrificing purpose. The definition of functional decor to me, that an item has more than one use. It can be beautiful, but it also has a very functional purpose. So without further ado, here is a list of 15 things that I came up with just out of things that I use in my home that are functional decor. And guys, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that little notification bell at the bottom there so that you are informed every single time I make a new video. All right, back to talking about functional decor. Number one is baskets, wire or woven. Big, small, different shapes, and even picnic baskets. I use baskets for literally everything. I just think that they're much prettier if you have to store something or even hide things. I have a stack of vintage picnic baskets that are sitting over here by my back door, and I actually use these to store my toddler's toys. So even though many of her toys are actually pretty, because I do try to collect vintage toys for her also, it's just easier for her. They're down on the floor and they're easy for her to get into, and it just looks pretty at the end of the day when things are just stacked into a basket. Number two is dishes, vintage or vintage inspired. So you can use dishes obviously for their intended purpose, or you can repurpose them like I mentioned with the planter idea, or even you can put them up on the wall as art. And I feel often that there is this illusion that vintage dishes are unapproachable almost because they're delicate. They're historic and charming and feminine, but we can find useful ways to incorporate them into our home. So don't leave them behind if you find them in thrift stores or flea markets. Number three is vintage or antique utensils. Another thing that I really love. You can go the ornate silver-plated version, which is actually something that I am on the hunt for currently. I would love to find a full set in its original container of vintage utensils to use on fancy occasions. My mom has a silver set and I would love to have one someday too. Or you can go the more rustic route, and I have these also, is the wooden hand-carved utensils. Spoons, spatulas, potato mashers, rolling pins, cake servers, butter knives, salt and pepper shakers even. Number four is vintage lighting, whether it is wired or if it's plug-in. Ceiling fixtures, sconces, table lamps, and floor lamp. So I recently purchased a couple more lamps that are heavy brass. So I feel like they have much more chance of lasting in my house than glass ones. It needs to be rewired, but that's not actually a hard thing to do, and there are a ton of tutorials online on how to do it. But it is solid brass and it is beautiful, and I'm excited to be able to rewire that. Maybe I'll do a video on it. Number five is candles and vintage oil lamps. Obviously, these two options are also great because they make excellent emergency lighting should your electricity go out, which is actually one reason why I invested in 4 oil lamps. These are glass, yes, so I have to have them put up out of reach of my children, but they are so beautiful when they are lit. They just add so much ambiance to a room, and I almost kind of hope that the electricity would go out just so I could have a chance to use them and not feel like I was wasting the oil. I do use them every now and then, but they are for emergency purposes in our household. Candles are obviously also great for ambiance. Fancy dinner or not, you can use them on your table or throughout your home. You can find oil lamps used if you want to get the actual vintage lamps, or you can find them brand new at Hobby Lobby, which is actually where I found mine. They were on a 50% off sale, so I think at the time they were only maybe $7 a piece, so pretty awesome steal. So if you want to add a sense of romance and a little bit of extra light to your home, look no further than candles and an oil lamp. Number 6 is beautiful rugs, be it vintage wool or a faux vintage look. I have one in here, and as you can tell, this room does not echo near as much as it used to. And I think a lot of that is due to this beautiful rug that I bought. This is something that I purchased off of Amazon, and I've actually purchased several rugs on Amazon, and they're all really great. So one reason that I choose to go with faux vintage versus a vintage wool rug is I haven't had much luck finding them locally, finding them in my price range, or finding them in a style that I actually liked. And one of the nice things about buying these less expensive options is my kids can get food on them, and especially this one, and it hides really well, and I don't have to worry about it being stained because I didn't invest a ton of money in these. So I don't have to feel so bad. I would feel really terrible if I destroyed a vintage wool rug. Number 7 is pillow covers versus buying new pillows all the time. The benefit of buying covers instead of continually buying more pillows is obviously storage space. If you buy good pillow inserts, which is the 20 by 20, and I purchased those from IKEA also, you can just switch out the covers anytime you have a whim. Holidays or whatnot, you can change them out very simply. Number 8 is blankets. Linen, cable knit, or my favorite, quilts. Blankets are obviously magical to adults and children alike. They can make forts, they can be put on a floor for picnics, or they can create a cozy spot on the couch while you read a book. For me, linen and vintage quilts are my choice of blanket. Quilts are great in the summer and the winter. I'm not sure how they manage to do that, but they're cool in the summer and they're warm in the winter. Quilts are magic. Number 9 is containers. Glass mason jars as storage containers, ceramic crocks, and even pitchers. You can use them in literally every room of your house that you need storage. Just imagine the beautiful look of an old candy shop, soda fountain, apothecary, or general store. And that style is where I gain my inspiration for my pantry and kitchen open shelves. I love that look. And glass is obviously better for you and the environment. Number 10 is mirrors. Wooden or metal, differing styles. And since I love Alice in Wonderland, this is very appropriate because they are actually looking glasses. I love decorating with mirrors. They add a lot of light to your room. If you're short on light, make sure to add a couple of mirrors to reflect the light throughout the room, and it actually does make it brighter. And they can actually make a room feel bigger as well. Number 11 is frames. Vintage or antique, wooden or metal, simple or ornate. I purchase all of my frames from thrift stores. This is one of those things that I feel like you should never, ever, ever have to buy new. They can hold pictures, illustrations, or vintage prints, or you can repurpose it as a chalkboard. I have a giant mirror that I actually bought from a thrift store that was made into a chalkboard, and I really love that. You can make it into a whiteboard, a bulletin board, or you can even use mirror spray paint to turn old frames into actual mirrors if you wanted to do that. And there are a couple of tutorials that I have watched myself on YouTube that I think are absolutely amazing. And I have linked those in the full blog post, so don't forget to check the blog post that I will link below in the notes for all of the resources and photographs and inspiration for you. Number 12 is pots and pans. Cast iron, copper, stainless steel, they can all be beautiful, hung up on a wall or hanging from a pot and pan rack in your kitchen. I think those are beautiful. There are some really beautiful modern lines of pots and pans out today that definitely deserve recognition for their style and function. There is a couple of brands like Viking and I can't remember the other one, but they have an actual line of copper pans and pots that is copper on the outside, copper infused, and then stainless steel on the inside, so it is still safe for cooking. Unlike a lot of vintage copper where you might not want to use that because you're not really aware of what metals were mixed, so it may not be safe for consumption when you cook on it. But I would definitely, and this is something that I want to do in the future, is invest in one of those lines of newer vintage style copper pots, just because they are gorgeous and copper is very beneficial to your health and it actually cooks evenly versus some other types of pans. Number 13 is light switch plates and outlet covers. don't forget the tiny things in your rooms. You can buy them in brass, aged bronze, black matte, chrome, copper, and etc. You can even buy wooden ones, which are really beautiful. I have only replaced one. So I have one little lonely brass switch plate, and it has transformed that little space that it stays. But I hope to replace the rest of them in my house. They're just the very last thing that you think about when you are redoing a room. So you can even match the metals in your entire home for a cohesive design, or you can mix and match certain metals. There are probably rules about that, but I don't know them. I chose to use aged bronze for all of my hardware, my doorknobs, hinges, sink faucets, shower, and tub sets. So I may go in the direction of that. We don't know. Number 14 is racks. Plate racks, French drying racks, and laundry dry racks. So creatively displayed storage. I love this idea. I have a couple of galvanized steel plate racks that I use, and they store plates wonderfully. They make it to where even if they come out of the dishwasher or you just wash them, they don't have to be 100% dry. You don't have to worry about any moisture building up, and they look beautiful just sitting on the rack. I also have a very large hanging French drying rack, which keeps all of my cups. And another same thing, they don't have to be dry to hang on there. You can just hang them and they dry when they dry. I also repurposed an old Eastlake mirror and made it into a vintage laundry rack that sits on the wall right next to my laundry closet. So these are all really creative ways that you can store your dishes and actually infuse a little bit more beauty into the space. Number 15, our very last one, and the last one is possibly one of my most favorite. Anybody that knows me knows this. Furniture. Let's not forget the biggest pieces in our house. Vintage, antique, and unique. It's not just a piece of furniture. It's a portal to another time when craftsmanship mattered. Yes, it is. All furniture is in fact functional decor, but some of it really does its job well. Maybe you have lots of books, therefore a tall bookcase could be the answer to your problem. Or obviously every home needs seating. Everyone needs a table, at least one. These are all things that are needed, and furniture meets those needs. But it can also be beautiful, ornate, a work of art in itself. Obviously, I love furniture of a certain era, and I try to pick it up every time I find it cheap. Well, friends, thank you so much for watching all the way through if you've made it this far. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share with any friends you think would enjoy this content. Thanks again. Bye.